Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Spruce Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 15 NFL Power Rankings. So, going over last week's rankings and what those teams did in Week 14. Last week, at number 10, I had the Broncos. They were on a bye. Ninth was the Chargers. They lost to the Chiefs 19-17. 8 was the Ravens. They were on a bye. 7th, I had the Steelers. They beat the Browns 27-14. 6th, I had the Vikings. They destroyed the Falcons 42-21. 5th was the Packers. They lost to the Lions 34-31. 4th, Eagles. They barely beat the Panthers 22-16. 3 was the Chiefs. They defeated the Chargers 19-17. 2 was the Bills. They lost to the Rams 44-42. And 1 was the Lions. They beat the Packers 34-31. But getting to this week's rankings, beginning things at number 10, I've got the Chargers. So the Chargers, they fall a spot to number 10 after they lost to the Chiefs 19-17 on Sunday Night Football. The Chargers offense was okay. They were awful in the first half with under 100 yards and 0 points, but then they were great in the second half, scoring on all 3 of their second half drives. Justin Herbert was solid with 213 yards and a touchdown. The Chargers, they didn't run the ball that effectively, rushing for just 94 yards and a touchdown on 3.4 yards per carry. Now, defensively for the Chargers, they were pretty good. They held the Chiefs to just 19 points and under 300 yards, and they forced the Chiefs to settle for 4 field goals. But the Chargers, they couldn't get a stop late in the game to get the ball back. They allowed the Chiefs to kick a game-winning field goal, and the Chargers, after a narrow loss to the Chiefs, I have them at number 10. Ninth, I have the Broncos. So the Broncos enter at number 9. They were on a bye. Next week, they face the Colts. 8th, I have the Ravens. They were also on a bye. They're currently sitting at 8-5 and have the top wildcard spot in the AFC. Next week, they face the Giants. 7th, I have the Packers. So the Packers fall a couple of spots to number 7 after a 34-31 loss to the Lions. The Packers offense played pretty well, scoring 31 points. Jordan Love threw for 206 yards and a touchdown and had another turnover-free game. Josh Jacobs continued to have a great season, rushing for 66 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he now has 8 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Now the Packers defense, they were okay. They allowed 34 points and 391 total yards. But a big problem for the Packers defensively is they can knock it off the field. As the Lions, they converted 7 of their 15 third downs and 4 of their 5 fourth downs. The Packers, after a loss to the Lions on a walk-off field goal, I have them at number 7. 6th, I have the Steelers. So the Steelers enter at number 6 after a 27-14 win over the Browns. And this time for the Steelers, they had no problem with the Browns, as they were in control of this game most of the way. The Steelers offense had another good game, as Russell Wilson threw for 2 touchdowns, and the Steelers ran for 120 yards. And then defensively, the Steelers were great. They allowed just 14 points, got 3 sacks, and forced 3 turnovers. And the Steelers, after a win over the Browns, I have them at number 6. Getting into the top 5, at number 5, I have the Vikings. So the Vikings, they check in at number 5 after a dominant 42-21 win over the Falcons. The Vikings offense was great. Sam Darnold was insane with 347 yards and 5 touchdowns. And receivers Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson both had huge games, as Addison had 8 catches for 133 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Jefferson had 7 for 132 and 2 scores. Then defensively, the Vikings, they played pretty well. In Kirk Cousins' return to Minnesota, they picked him off twice, and they held the Falcons to just 2 of 5 in the red zone. But this was a good win for the Vikings. They've now won 6 straight games, and they're 11-2 on the season, and I've got the Vikings at number 5. 4th, I have the Bills. So the Bills, they fall to number 4 after they lost to the Rams 44-42. The Bills' offense, they were great. They put up 42 points, and Josh Allen was insane. He had 342 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns, and also 82 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, this makes him the first player in NFL history to have 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game. Now, while Josh Allen and the Bills' offense were great, their defense was awful. They allowed 44 points and could not stop the pass, allowing 320 passing yards. Now, the Bills, they did have a chance to get the win in this game, as they had the ball on the 1-yard line with 3 timeouts, and instead of trying to score quickly and save their timeouts, they opted to go quarterback sneak, didn't get in, and had to call a timeout, and that bad clock management really may have cost them the game, because who knows, maybe they were able to get a stop and get the ball back, and who really knows what happens after that, but Bad defense and bad game management cost this game for the Bills, and after their loss to the Rams, I have them at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I have the Eagles. So the Eagles enter at number 3 after they beat the Panthers by a score of 22-16. And I was considering moving the Eagles over the Chiefs this week, but then they barely beat the Panthers, and I decided to keep the Chiefs one spot higher. But the Eagles, they should not have won this game. The Panthers, they had a chance to win the game, but Xavier Legette dropped a touchdown, and that allowed the Eagles to hold on for the win. The Eagles' offense was okay, scoring 22 points, but that is decent, but not the greatest when you look at the fact they were playing the worst defense in the NFL. But the Eagles, they did run the ball well, rushing for 209 yards and a touchdown on 6.7 yards per carry. And then the Eagles' defense was pretty good, allowing 4.4 yards per play and forcing a turnover. But the Eagles, they were able to get the win, but this is a game they probably shouldn't have won. But after not the greatest performance for the Eagles, I have them at number 3. Number 2 is the Chiefs. I kind of spoiled that a second ago. But the Chiefs, they enter at number 2 after a 19-17 win over the Chargers. This was another game for the Chiefs where they got extremely lucky to get the win. Because the Chiefs, they were lined up for a game-winning field goal, and they kicked it off the upright and in. Only the Chiefs that happens to. But the Chiefs' offense wasn't great, scoring 19 points. Patrick Mahomes threw for 210 yards and a touchdown, but the Chiefs didn't run the ball that effectively, rushing for just 96 yards and under 4 yards per carry. Then the Chiefs' defense was solid, allowing 17 points, although they were great in the first half, not allowing a single point, and then they allowed all 17 points in the second half. But the Chiefs, they just continue to somehow find ways to win, and they do it again. They now clinch the AFC West after the win, and I have them at number 2. And at number 1, it is the Lions. So the Lions, they've remained at number 1 after they beat the Packers 34-31. The Lions' offense was good with 34 points. Jared Goff threw for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns and an interception. And the Lions' defense, they were okay. They allowed 31 points and 6.6 yards per play. But to be fair, the Lions' defense was playing with pretty much their entire practice squad with how banged up they are. But the Lions, they made an extremely aggressive decision late in this game to seal the win. As the Lions, they did 4th and short with the game tied at 31. And instead of kicking a field goal there, Dan Campbell opted to go for it on 4th down. So the Lions, they were able to kick the game-winning field goal as time expired. But it worked out for the Lions as they ended up getting the 1st down. But a very aggressive decision for the Lions ended up paying off. And the Lions, after the win over the Packers, they've remained at number 1 and have now officially clinched a playoff spot. But those are my Week 15 NFL Power Rankings. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.